I'm Dhriti Yatri, you're watching TimesXP and welcome to the top US news today. Let's say you're an H1B visa holder. You got your job, your visa was approved, and you finally feel like you're safe, right? Well, for some people, the real trouble begins after the approval. Here's a story that explains how even after getting the H1B visa, one small mistake or even somebody's random comment can put your entire future in the US at risk. Meet this professional. He's working as a contractor for a big car company in the US. He got his H1B visa approved in September 2023. Everything seemed fine. He was doing his job and living his life. But then things changed. In February 2025, an officer from USCIS, the US Immigration Department, made a surprise visit to the place where he works. These visits are kind of normal. USCIS sometimes checks if people are really working where they say that they are. Most of the time, these visits are smooth and end quickly. But this time, a few weeks later, he received a very scary letter titled Intent to Revoke. That means the US government is thinking about cancelling his visa. Why? Because they claim that he doesn't have the right work experience for his job. The reason? Well, during the surprise visit, somebody from the company's HR department told the USCIS officer that the job required 5 years of work experience. But when the visa application was originally submitted by the staffing company, it didn't mention this particular point. Now, USCIS thinks that the visa approval was based on wrong or missing information. But wait, here's the twist. The employer and the lawyer were shocked. They say that the HR person didn't fully understand how the visa application were filed, and actually the person does have a solid background. 4.5 years of work experience outside the US, a master's degree from a US university, a full year of US work experience before starting this particular job. Now, the team has only 33 days until June 9, 2025 to fight back and explain everything to USCIS. They are preparing all the documents and proof to show that he is qualified for the job and that there was no fraud or any sort of mistake. The question is, what does the story teaches us? Well, even after you win the H1B lottery and get your visas, your journey isn't always smooth. One random sentence from somebody not fully involved in your hiring process, like an HR manager, can actually cause serious issue. USCIS takes things very seriously. Many people don't know this, but the officers can do site visits without any warning. And during those visits, they may speak with the company staff who might not understand the technical details of the visa rules. And that's why it is so important for employers and clients to be trained and informed when hiring foreign managers. A new legal development in the United States is causing serious concern among many Indian immigrants who have been living there over decades. The US Department of Justice recently told a federal court that the country's Attorney General has the legal authority to cancel anybody's green card at any point of time, no matter how long ago it was issued. This means that even people who have held a green card for 30, 40, or even 50 years may not be completely safe from deportation. Well, the statement has shocked many in immigrant communities, specifically the Indian community, which has one of the biggest numbers of green card holders in the US. For those unfamiliar, a green card gives somebody a lawful permanent resident status in the US. It allows a person to live and work in the country permanently and is often the final step for applying for US citizenship. Every single year, the United States gives out nearly 1 million green cards, and Indians make up a large portion of those recipients. In 2023 alone, over 64,000 Indians were granted green cards. Many of these individuals wait for even decades due to long backlogs, specifically those who started on H1B work visas. The latest issue came to the light in the legal case involving a man named Mohammad Khatani in New Jersey. In 2006, Khatani's green card was denied because he was suspected of having connections to a banned organization, though those claims were never proven. Still, the US government argued that the Attorney General could cancel his green card even so many years later. This raised a very serious question. If this can happen to one person based on an old unresolved case, could it happen to anybody? In court, a government lawyer named Lindsay Murphy made it very clear that there is no time limit on when a green card can be cancelled. She said that even if someone has held a green card for decades, the government can still take it back if an error is found in how it was issued. These errors could be administrative mistakes or incomplete records from long ago. This means that even small technical issue in paperwork, something that happened years ago, could now be used as a reason to revoke a person's legal status. Well, this kind of legal argument is very new and it has shocked immigration lawyers across the US. Normally, a green card are only cancelled for serious reasons such as fraud, criminal activities, or even links to terrorism, which is justified. In the meantime, professor from Cornell Law School explained that the green card has always seen as a very secure option, and this new approach is actually worrying. The H1B visa program has once again become a subject of heated debate in the United States. While this particular temporary work visa was designed to allow US companies to hire foreign professionals in very specialized fields like technology, engineering, medicine, and science, some Americans are now calling it a scam. Well, a latest controversy began when Sean Carpenter, a self-described Trump supporter and musician, made a post on social media questioning why people speaking Hindi were working as gate agents at Washington, D.C. airport. He claimed that this was proof that the H1B program was being misused and that job meant for Americans were being taken by Indians. However, this particular claim quickly received backlash, with users pointing out that most airport gate agents are either US citizens, green card holders, or legal residents and not H1B workers. Others reminded that H1B program is specifically for high-skilled roles, not for general service jobs like airport staffing. Now, to understand the full picture, it's very important to know that what exactly is H1B visa. So, the H1B is a non-immigrant visa that allows US companies to employ foreign workers in occupations that typically require specialized knowledge and at least a bachelor's degree. Each year, the US grants approximately 85,000 new H1B visas, including 20,000 reserved for individuals with master's degree or higher education from US institutions. For the fiscal year 2026, the US Citizenship and Immigration Services announced that 120,141 applications were selected, just a fraction of the total applicants, which were believed to be over 700,000. The competition is fierce, and most H1B recipients go through a long, selective process before they even get a chance to work in the US. Indians, by the way, are the largest beneficiaries of the H1B visas, consistently receiving about 70 to 70% of the annual quota. This is primarily because a significant numbers of international professionals who are Indians pursue higher education in the US, often in fields like computer science, data analysis, artificial intelligence, biomedical engineering, and finance. Once they graduate, many of them are hired by top US firms who struggle to find enough skilled workers locally or to fill those roles. The US Department of Labor has repeatedly emphasized that H1B workers are not meant to replace Americans, but rather to fill the gap in the workforce, specifically in the sectors where there is shortage of the talent. But let me tell you, opponents of the H1B program argues that it takes away American jobs, lower wages, and encourages companies to outsource work. But data does not support these claims. In fact, several studies, including those by the National Foundation for American Policy and the Brookings Institution, have shown that highly skilled immigrants on H1B visas actually create more jobs for Americans, drive innovation, and contribute heavily to the US economy. For example, between 1990 and 2010, US cities that had more H1B visa holders saw faster wage growth and lower unemployment rate in the tech and STEM field. Most of the successful companies in America are led by individuals who first came to the country on H1B or student visa. Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, and others are all Indian origin leaders who started their journey as immigrants. These individuals have not only helped their companies thrive, but have also created thousands of jobs in the US, raised billions in revenue, and helped keep America a global leader in technology and innovation. So, the question is the H1B visa a scam? The facts suggest otherwise. What we are seeing is not a problem with the visa itself, but with the public's understanding of it. One viral social media post based on a casual airport observation should not overshadow the deep contribution made by immigrants to the American economy. People who are bilingual, who speaks languages like Hindi, Spanish, or others, are often US citizens or permanent residents. Speaking a different language is not a red flag. It's a reflection of America's multicultural identity. Recently, United States President Donald Trump has expressed strong frustration towards federal judges who have blocked key parts of his immigration and education policy. Two important court decisions have challenged his agenda, leading to public criticism from Trump himself. In one case, a federal judge in Boston stopped Trump's plan to deport 8 migrants to South Sudan, despite Trump labeling these individuals as violent criminals. The judge instead ordered that these migrants remain temporarily in Djibouti. Trump criticized this ruling, accusing the judiciary of lacking understanding and of acting against the country's best interest. He argued that such decisions allow dangerous individuals to stay in the US, while immigration enforcement officers are diverted away from protecting the citizens. Now, in another significant development, a judge blocked Trump's effort to terminate the visas of international students at universities such as Harvard. This move would have forced many foreign students, including a large number of Indians and Chinese students, to leave the US abruptly. Considering this, the US hosts over 1 million international students, with Indians being the second largest group. This court ruling prevented a potentially massive disruption to students' life and university communities. Trump responded angrily on social media, accusing judges of being out of control and demanding immediate changes to how such decisions are made. At the very same time, Trump announced that he is considering taking two major mortgage companies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, back into public ownership. These companies play a crucial role in the US housing market by supporting home loans. While Trump claims that this move could capitalize on their profitability, experts warn that it might lead to higher mortgage rates, impacting millions of American buyers. Now, these legal challenges highlights the complex balance of power between the executive branch and the judiciary, particularly on the issues like immigration and education. Trump's harsh criticism of judges reflect the tension surrounding these policies and his hope that the Supreme Court will overturn the lower court ruling. The outcome of these disputes will significantly affect immigrant enforcement, the future of international students, and potentially the housing market in the United States. The impact of stricter immigration policy under US President Donald Trump is becoming clear, specifically for many businesses across the US. According to a recent report by Clarify Capital, about 1 in 5 business owners say that they have lost workers because of deportation, visa denial, or immigration raids over the past year. Well, this is a significant challenge for businesses, particularly small companies that rely heavily on immigrant labor. Trump came into office promising to reduce illegal immigration drastically, and since January of his first year, over 100,000 undocumented migrants have been deported, and this is according to the official government data. While this number may seem large, it represents only a small fraction of the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the US as of early 2022. Still, the effect of these policies are hitting businesses really hard. Many businesses are struggling to find enough workers. The report shows that nearly 70% of small businesses have lost customers because of these labor shortages. Now, in addition, half of these businesses are thinking about moving their operation to states with less strict immigration rules. This shows how immigration policy can influence where companies choose to operate. Over 72% of the small business owners say that they have had to close location, reduce working hours, and delay plans to grow due to difficulties in hiring. Industries like farming, hotel, restaurants, and technology are feeling these effects the most. Farms depend on workers to pick fruits and vegetables. Restaurant needs staff to cook and serve food, and tech companies require skilled employees to build and maintain their products. In the meantime, analysts warn that if these hiring problems continue, the consequences could last a long time. They also warn that economy could suffer more as these policies continue. When there are fewer workers, businesses must pay more to get the same amount of work done. Now, this extra cost often ends up being passed on to the customers in the form of higher prices. Let me give you an example. Food prices could rise because farms have to pay more to the laborers, and restaurants might also increase their prices to cover their cost. This creates a ripple effect, leading to higher inflation in industries that depend heavily on immigrant workers. Immigrants have always been an important part of American economy and communities. Many experts say that policies should support their inclusion rather than create division. Without enough workers, the country may face slower economic growth and damage to its reputation as a place where people want to live and work. So in the end, while the goal of reducing illegal immigrants is clear, the effects on the businesses and the economy are complex and significant. The labor shortage caused by deportation and visa problem are already making it harder for the companies to operate smoothly, and consumer may feel the impact through higher prices and less availability of goods and services. A serious crime case recently came to the light involving an Indian-American man named Darshan R. Soni, who has been arrested in the United States. He faces very serious charges, including trying to kill his own wife. The story is troubling and shows how dangerous and complicated some situations can be. According to the official report, this case did not happen suddenly. It was a plan that lasted several months and involved multiple steps. The authorities found out about the plan after somebody tipped them off, warning them that Soni was thinking about hurting his wife. It started with a failed attempt that did not work. Soni allegedly planned to arrange a fake break-in also at the house during which the murder was supposed to happen. To carry out this entire plan, Soni reportedly asked one of his employees named Ken Cox to help him. Soni even offered Cox some money and a used car to insist and create an environment, meaning to make it look like he was somewhere else during the crime. Further investigation revealed that the wife had been feeling sick and noticed strange taste in her drinks. She found a white, clumpy substance in a smoothie, which Soni tried to explain away as a dish soap. However, police discovered that Soni had actually tried to get poison, possibly dangerous substances from India, to harm his wife. In the meantime, Ken Cox later cooperated with the police after speaking with his lawyer. He wrote a wire to record a conversation with Soni, which showed Soni talking about the plan, though at times he seemed to hesitate or back away from the idea. Despite this, Soni talked about violence and extreme action, but also mentioned considering a divorce instead of murder. The police arrested Soni after a joint effort between the police department and the county prosecutor's office. He is now charged with attempt to murder and conspiracy, which are serious charges. He will appear in the court very soon to answer these charges. The wife, who is kept anonymous to protect her privacy, has been informed and given help and support. In the meantime, family members expressed shock and disbelief because the victim described Sony as an innocent person. Something big is happening in the United States, and it may affect many international students, including thousands of Indians. Howard University, one of the world's top universities, has just lost the right to allow international students to study over there. Shocking, right? This particular decision was made by the Trump administration, and it's already creating a lot of panic among thousands of international students. So let's break it down step by step. First question: what exactly happened? So, the US Department of Homeland Security told Harvard that it can no longer host international students. This particular decision means that about 6,800 international students studying at Harvard right now, including 788 students from India, could lose their legal status in the US if they don't transfer to another university or if this particular decision isn't reversed. This move affects thousands of students who are already studying and also those who are planning to join Harvard in near future. You know what it's like? It's like suddenly pulling the rug from under students who worked really hard for years to get into Harvard and move to America for their studies. Second question: why is this such a big deal? You might know that Harvard is a very popular university for international students. In fact, about 27% of all Harvard students are from other countries. That's more than 1 out of every 4 students. Most of them are graduate students, people doing their masters, PhD, or even advanced research. For Indian students, Harvard is a dream. Every year, around 500 to 800 Indian students and scholars enroll over there. Many spend years of preparing for exams, writing essays, and applying for visas just to study at Harvard. Now, with this new decision, all of them could force to leave the US until and unless they find another school that accepts international students, but that should be really fast. Third question: what happens to students already studying at Harvard? Now, if a student has already finished their studies and it's graduating in 2025, they are safe. They will still get their degrees. But those who are still in the middle of their courses, like students in their first, second, or third year, they might need to transfer to another university quickly if they want to stay in the US legally. Let me tell you, that's not easy. Transferring isn't simple, specifically when visas, credits, and official approvals are involved over there. The last question: what about the new students who were admitted? This is even sadder. Students who were supposed to start their classes in fall 2025 will not be allowed to join Harvard anymore. Unless something changes, like a court decision, or if the government takes back its order, these students must either cancel their plans or try to find another university in a hurry. Some of these students had already paid their tuition deposits, booked their housing, and even bought flight tickets, all for that uncertainty. But you know why Trump is doing this? According to the US official, Howard has failed to meet certain demands. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, wrote a letter to Howard giving them 72 hours to hand over certain information. The government wants Howard to submit videos and audio recording of student protesters on campuses, specifically those who are supporting Palestine. They also want information about how the university has disciplined international students involved in these protests. Though let me tell you, Howard has refused to give any information which is private to the government, saying that it was against student privacy and freedom of speech. Well, that's when the government decided to take action by cancelling Howard's right to enroll international students through the Student and Exchange Visitor Program. You know, something is happening between Trump and Howard, but it's not really uncommon. This isn't the very first time when the Trump team and Howard have clashed. Do you remember earlier this particular year, the Trump administration told colleges to stop supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion program. policies that aim to support students of different race, religions, and backgrounds. But Howard again refused. After that, the US government agencies like National Institute of Health stopped giving research grants to Howard. This hurt many professors and students who depend on that particular money to do their work in science, medicine, and technology. Now, with the latest move, the situation is even worse. The US government has accused Howard of supporting violence and anti-Semitism and even working with the Chinese Communist Party, claims that Howard has strongly denied. Now, Howard has said that it is trying to support affected students and is working with the lawyers. It has already filed a case in the court asking a judge to stop the government from going through with this cancellation. But there is also a possibility that the US Supreme Court could step in. Now, if the court says that the government acted unfairly, the decision could be cancelled. In the meantime, immigration experts are advising international students, specifically those at Harvard, to talk to the lawyer immediately, keep all immigration papers ready, look for other universities that can accept transfer students quickly, and be prepared for delays or sudden changes in their student status. Well, Indian students should be worried. They make up a large number of international students in the US. If we talk about data, then in 2023, over 2.6 lakh Indian students were studying in American universities. Many were on F1 visas, which are tied to the universities that they attend. If their university loses permission to host international students, the visa becomes invalid too, unless the student transfers. This new rule doesn't just affect Harvard, it could set an example for other universities as well, which is really dangerous. If more colleges face pressure like this, international students may begin to feel unsafe or unwanted in the US even more, even after spending lakhs of rupees and years preparing to study over there. For now, the future of almost 7,000 international students at Harvard is uncertain, and nearly 800 Indian students are caught in this crisis. The tragic shooting of Akash Banerjee, a 22-year-old Indian origin student studying technology near Georgia Tech, has shocked many and raised serious concern about the safety. Akash was shot on May 18 at the apartment complex where he lived, located in the wealthy area called Midtown. Police believe that it was not a random act, but a planned attack aimed specifically at him. Authorities shared video footage from security cameras that show a suspect walking through the apartment hallway with what looks like a gun in his pocket. About 10 minutes before the shooting happened, the police also revealed that the suspect had been to the building before, searching for Akash. This is unusual because the building is secure and requires a special key card to enter. So, investigators are trying to understand how the shooter got inside. The police mentioned that there was a fight between Akash and the suspect before the shooting. While the suspect has not been publicly named, he is considered a person of interest in the case. In the meantime, neighbors who heard the gunshot called emergency services, describing seeing somebody laying injury in the hallway. Akash was rushed to the nearby hospital, but sadly he died from the injuries. The police said that Akash had a criminal history, but they have not shared details about it. They also believe that Akash knew the shooter, but exact relationship or any reason behind the attack is still unknown and under investigation. Georgia Tech, where Akash was a student, expressed deep sorrow over the loss and extended support to his family, his friends, and the community. They also thanked the medical team for their efforts to save him. Well, this incident highlights the dangers that can sometimes exist even in secure, familiar places like university, housing, etc. It also brings attention to the ongoing work that law enforcement must do to protect students and solve violent crimes. A United States court has just stopped a major move by US President Donald Trump's administration that could have caused big trouble for thousands of international students. On Thursday, Judge Jeffrey S. White, who works in the Northern District of California, made a decision to protect foreign students studying in the US on F1 student visas. His ruling blocks the US government from arresting or deporting these students and says that their visa cannot be cancelled for now. Well, this particular decision brings relief for many students who were worried about suddenly losing their legal status in the US. The judge said that the government did not give strong reasons for cancelling the visas. He explained that this court ruling gives the students some stability and certainty, which means that they can continue their studies or work without fearing that their visas might be taken away again. Well, this case affects not just a few students, but possibly thousands of others in the same situation. These students are part of a program called SEVP, the Student and Exchange Visitor Program. This program is run by the US Immigration and Custom Enforcement and keeps track on all international students in the US. It ensures that only legit students from other countries are allowed into US schools and US universities. The judge also said that he was worried that the Trump administration might try to cancel more visas in near future without giving students a chance to challenge the decision in the court. He warned that government officials were playing a game of whack-a-mole, changing their rules every time a court pushes back. He wants to stop them from going around their own laws. Well, it all started in early April when several students suddenly found their records of SEVIS, the database that tracks international students, were terminated. Many of them had no idea this would happen. The reason? A new Trump policy called the Student Criminal Alien Initiative. Under this policy, international students whose names showed up in police databases, even for minor reasons, were flagged. Many of these students did not have any criminal record, and yet their visas were taken away. Lawyers for the students said that the cancellations were unfair. Just because a student had contacted with the police didn't mean that they were a criminal or they deserved to be deported. The Judge White agreed with this and said that the Trump policy had wreaked havoc in the lives of innocent students across America. He made it very clear that the policy caused fear and confusion and must be stopped until the court can fully review it. You know what? This court win comes not long after another controversy where Trump's government tried to stop Harvard University from enrolling new foreign students under certain visa conditions. That move also faced legal opposition, by the way. So, in the end, this ruling gives temporary protection to many international students, but it doesn't mean the fight is over. The case will continue in the court, and the future of many students still depends on the final verdict. Imagine this: Harvard University, one of the world's most famous schools, suddenly finds itself without Indian students. Sounds hard to believe, right? But what if, for some reason, Indian students stopped enrolling into the US altogether? Well, the effect would be huge, not just for Harvard or the US, but for the global education. Let's explore why Indian students matter so much and what could happen if they don't come. First of all, here's an important fact. Indians are the largest group of international students in the United States. According to recent data, over 200,000 Indian students study in the US each year. They make up nearly 20% of all international students. In top universities like Harvard, MIT, Stanford, and others, Indian students form a significant part of the graduate and doctoral programs as well. At Harvard alone, there are about 788 students from India contributing in science, technology, business, and arts. These students are not just numbers. They bring fresh ideas, innovation, and cultural diversity that enrich campuses and research. But now, what if Indian students stop coming? If Indian students suddenly stop enrolling, the first shock would hit the university financially. International students pay full tuition fee, often much higher than local students. For Harvard, losing hundreds of Indian students could mean tens of millions of dollars lost every single year. Universities rely on this particular income to fund research, facilities, scholarship, and faculty. Without Indian students, many programs might face budget cuts. Imagine Harvard struggling to fund cutting-edge medical or technology research because of this particular loss. This could slow down innovation not just in the US but globally. And let me add on, Indian students don't just pay fees. they fuel the US higher education system. Many graduate programs depend heavily on international students for teaching assistance, research help, and lab work. Without them, universities might face any staff shortages or even struggle to keep up with research programs. In a bigger picture, fewer Indian students mean less cultural exchange and global collaboration. The US education system thrives on international talent, and the Indian students are a vital part of that ecosystem. While it may sound like a loss to the US, India should see this as a wake-up call too. Indian students come to the US because of better research opportunity, advanced courses, and global exposure. If they don't have an option, it could create opportunities for India to build its own world-class universities. India is already investing heavily in education. Institutes like Indian Institute of Technology, IITs we call it, or Indian Students of Management, IIMs, and the new universities also under the National Education Policy are working to provide top quality education at home. If Indian students stop going abroad, India can keep its brightest mind here, boost local research, and lead innovation globally. The talent staying back can actually help India become a knowledge superpower. So, what can India do? India can invest more in research and infrastructure, building labs, funding innovation, and attracting world-class faculty. Secondly, also India can create global partnerships like collaborate with top universities worldwide for exchange programs, make education affordable and accessible, provide scholarships and improve digital education access as well. And lastly, promote Indian education globally. Showcase India as a top destination for higher studies. Now, finally, it's a win-win for India and the world. Indian students are a bridge between India and the world. Their presence benefits both countries by sharing knowledge, culture, and innovation. If Indian students stop coming to the US, education system on both sides will suffer. But India's future will shine brighter if it invests in its own education system. One of the most famous and respected universities in the world, Harvard University, is now in serious trouble with the US government. On May 22, 2025, the US Department of Homeland Security made a shocking decision. It took away Harvard's permission to accept students from other countries. Well, this move means that Harvard can no longer allow international students to join or even stay in campus unless the decision is reversed. The university has lost its ability to issue a document called Form I-20, which is necessary for students to get a US student visa. Now, without this particular document, students from other countries cannot legally come to study or stay in the US. Well, this change is specifically bad news for Indian students right now. There are 788 students from India and they are studying at Harvard. Every year, about 500 to 800 Indian students and researchers attend the university. All of them are affected by this new rule. In total, Harvard has about 6,800 international students. Most of them are studying for master's or doctoral degrees. Now, unless this particular decision is reversed quickly, these students may have to transfer to other universities, or they could lose their legal rights to stay in the US. The question is, why did the US government do this? According to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Harvard refused to share important details about its international students. She also said that the university failed to stop protests that she claimed were unsafe and showed support for Hamas. In her letter, she accused Harvard of creating a hostile environment for Jewish students and using policies that promote racial bias in the name of diversity and inclusion. Noem also mentioned that Harvard is being too friendly with China, which she believes is a threat to national security. The government has now given Harvard 72 hours to follow a list of demands. These include handing over video recordings of student protesters and disciplinary records for international students. Now, if Harvard does not meet these demands, it will remain banned from hosting international students. However, Harvard says that the government's action is unfair. A university spokesperson said that Harvard is proud of its international community, which includes students from more than 140 countries. While the university has not officially said that it will take legal action, Harvard students' newspaper, the Harvard Crimson, reported that the school is likely to challenge this particular decision. For now, students who are graduating this semester will still receive their degrees, so they don't have to worry. But students who are not yet finalized with their studies must quickly transfer to other university. Immigration lawyer says that there is no clear deadline, but they recommended students to try to transfer within 15 days to avoid visa problem. If they stay at Harvard without transferring, they could be forced to leave the US very soon. Well, the situation is also very difficult for students who are planning to start at Harvard later this year. If the ban stays in place, they will not be able to attend Harvard. And for students who have recently graduated and they are working in the US through a program called Optional Practical Training, things could get worse. If they transfer to another university, their OPT work permission will automatically be cancelled and they might lose their jobs. Let me tell you, this is not the very first time when the US government has taken action against Harvard. In the past few months, Harvard refused to follow orders to stop pro-Palestinian protests and shut down its diversity-related programs. After that, several government agencies froze their funding for Harvard, which kind of affected many research projects. In the meantime, US President Donald Trump has also said that Harvard should lose its tax-free status, which could make it harder for the universities to raise money through donation. Walmart announces it might cut about 1,500 corporate jobs, mostly in its technological department. Well, this news caused a lot of worries and discussion online. But instead of focusing on why a huge company like Walmart, which still makes billions of dollars, is laying off workers, many people started blaming Indian workers who come to the US on H1B visas. Well, these workers are often unfairly accused of taking American jobs, even though there is no proof that Walmart hires mostly Indians or that Indians are the main cause of job losses. Many social media posts called for stopping or cancelling H1B visas, which allows skilled foreign workers, specifically many Indians, to work legally in the US. But this anger is mostly based on feelings and not facts. It's very important to know that big companies, including Walmart, cut jobs for many reasons. Sometimes they want to save money or change their business plans, even if they are making good profit. Also, hiring Indian workers on H1B visa is not easy or quick for any company. The H1B visa process is very slow and complicated. Walmart cannot just replace American workers with H1B workers quickly. If companies misuse the H1B visa system or outsource jobs to other companies, the fault lies with those companies and not the Indian workers who are trying to build their careers. Interestingly, many Indian H1B workers are also losing jobs in these Walmart layoffs. This shows that the job cuts affect everybody and not just Americans or Indian workers. So, blaming one group is unfair and it does not explain the reasons behind the layoffs. In recent years, Walmart and many other big companies have been cutting tech jobs because of changing technology and business needs, not because of who the workers are. This trend is happening across many industries in the US, where companies restructure and reduce staff even when they are still making money. So, to sum it up, the Walmart layoffs are about business decisions and changing market. Dr. Ananda Bandyopadhyay, a doctor originally from Kolkata, India, who now works in the United States, has received an important global award for his work in vaccine. Well, it's a very proud moment for every Indian. He is 45 years of age and works with the Gates Foundation, a major organization that supports health projects all around the globe. Dr. Bandyopadhyay has played a big role in helping India get rid of polio, a disease that can cause paralysis, and has also worked on keeping track of measles causes, which helps prevent outbreaks. Now, because of his important work, he was given the IVISK Bioscience Park Manhoon Award in 2025. Let me tell you, this award is very special and is given by the International Vaccine Institute, which is, by the way, the only global organization focused on only on creating and sharing vaccines to improve health worldwide. He shared the award with Professor Pierre van Damme from the University of Belgium. Together, they were recognized for their work in creating a new kind of oral polio vaccine. Oral means it is given by mouth, like drops, making it easier to give to the children. This new vaccine helps protect more people against polio and is a very important step in fighting this disease worldwide. The award ceremony was held on April 30, 2025. Dr. Bandyopadhyay said that winning this particular award is a great honor. He explained that it is not just about one person, but about the work of many people around the globe working together to stop polio. This kind of teamwork is very important in fighting disease and saving lives. Polio used to be a very common disease in many countries, including India, causing many children to become sick or disabled. Thanks to vaccines and effort by the scientists like Dr. Bandyopadhyay, polio cases have dropped drastically worldwide. India was once one of the countries with many polio cases, but thanks to strong vaccine programs, it was declared polio-free in 2014. Dr. Bandyopadhyay's research helped improve vaccines that make this success possible and continue to protect children every single where. The International Vaccine Institute, which gave the award, is based in South Korea and works with scientists, governments, and health organizations worldwide. They focus on creating vaccines for diseases that mostly affect poorer countries, helping protect millions of people who might not otherwise get vaccinated. Dr. Bandyopadhyay hopes that this particular award will help encourage more research and new vaccines to fight other diseases too. His work shows how science and global cooperation can bring hope and help to people all around the world. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to TimesXP for more such updates.